All right, today we're diving into the pretty provocative worldview of mathematician Eric Weinstein. His big idea that we're all living inside a managed reality, basically an artificially stagnant bubble that he thinks is just about to burst. So let's break down exactly what he means and why he believes our entire future might depend on figuring this out.
So when Eric Weinstein looks at the world and says, "You're looking at the end, man," he's not just being dramatic. He genuinely believes that the era of, relative peace and quiet we've had since World War II is over. He's talking about a huge shift that isn't coming, it's happening right now as we speak.
And look, his evidence isn't some far-off sci-fi scenario. He's pointing directly at today's headlines. We're talking hypersonic missiles in modern cities, crazy first-person view drone warfare, and the spread of nuclear weapons. For Weinstein, these aren't just a string of bad news days. No, these are all signs that what he calls the era of stasis, that long, quiet period, is officially done.
Okay, so if the world order as we know it is ending, is there an escape hatch? Well, according to Weinstein, there's only one path forward, and he argues that humanity's very survival is riding on it.
He makes this point that all of humanity's eggs are in one very fragile basket. I mean, think about it. Major threats like pandemics or radiation or climate change, they don't care about borders, right? They affect our entire shared atmosphere. So for us to survive long term, he says, we have to get to another sphere. We have to become a multi-planetary species.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because this slide just perfectly lays out the core problem. On one hand, Weinstein calls Elon Musk a total hero for his engineering work. He says he's 100% right about needing to get off this rock. But, and it's a huge but, he follows that up by saying you can't engineer your way to the stars with the science we have. Engineering, in his view, just makes old ideas better. What we really need is a brand new idea in fundamental physics. And that brings us to the central mystery of his whole argument. The very science we desperately need to secure our future has, he claims, been mysteriously stuck in neutral for the last 50 years. Weinstein throws out this challenge. Walk into any room, take away the computer screens and phones, and then try to tell him how you know you're not in 1973. This timeline really drives his point home. Yeah, our gadgets have gotten slicker, but he argues the deep, fundamental science behind everything, it's just stalled. The basic rulebook of physics, what scientists call the Lagrangian, it hasn't had a major update since 1973. It's like the music of scientific discovery just stopped.
So this leads us to his most shocking claim, and really the core of his whole theory, that this stagnation isn't some accident. Weinstein is arguing it's a deliberate feature of what he calls a managed reality.
Right, so why on earth would anyone want to put the brakes on the very science that could save all of us?
Well, the answer, at least according to Weinstein, is terrifyingly simple. Just think about it for a second. A real breakthrough in physics isn't just a paper in a science journal. It's potentially a doomsday weapon. It's a new energy source that could completely flip the global order on its head. Weinstein's point is that there are powerful interests out there who want to prevent that kind of disruption at all costs. It's like they want the fruits of science, but they are absolutely terrified of the tree it grows on. And one of the alleged tools for this control is this obscure legal doctrine called restricted data. Now get this. According to Weinstein, this basically means that if a physicist even thinks of a new idea related to nuclear energy or weapons, that idea is considered born secret. Just talking about it, even to a colleague, could be a major federal crime. It's essentially a permanent gag order on our most brilliant scientific minds. Now, Weinstein takes this a step further, and he points to a really controversial example, Jeffrey Epstein. He doesn't see Epstein as just a shady financier. No, he sees him as an intelligence construct. The argument is that Epstein's famous science conferences were really a way for intelligence agencies to keep a close eye on top physicists, to monitor for dangerous ideas and steer the whole conversation away from them. So all of this leads to the ultimate dilemma, the big philosophical question at the very heart of Weinstein's argument about human discovery and how dangerous it might actually be. This is the perfect example of how a single, seemingly innocent question can spiral into world-ending technology. Weinstein brings up Ernest Rutherford just wondering to himself, is there a neutral version of the proton? And Weinstein calls this the single most dangerous thought in all of human history, because that one question led directly to the fission bomb, which then became the trigger for the even more powerful fusion bomb. Weinstein uses this famous Leonard Cohen lyric to describe scientists like Rutherford. He sees them as these baffled kings, these absolute geniuses who are composing world-changing ideas,
but maybe without fully understanding the destructive power they're about to unleash.
And so this leaves us with a really uncomfortable question. I mean, if Weinstein is right about some kind of managed reality, could it be that it's actually for our own protection? Is humanity just too dangerous to be trusted with its own genius? And you have to wonder, what's the greater risk here? The next scientific breakthrough, or the shadowy forces that might be trying to stop it from ever happening? Definitely something to think about.